I was in man number 5, and then something happened to me on Tuesday, and now I'm in man number 6, and that's, and it's completely different, and I'm never going back. Really, is it like that? And also, now this is a question I don't know. Is it there in the literature? Has anybody come across it? That do you have to be something of a given number if you're perceiving some of these other elements? I'm wondering how to articulate this, but the sort of question I have in mind is the question, the thorny issue of being bodies. Now I'm aware that I've seen sort of 3 sorts of that, and the highest of those I've only encountered with a couple of dead people by the name of Jesus and Sri Nisargadatta. And they've got, there's something happening there which is like, I don't know if there's a lot of point in describing it really, but it's very different from stuff lower down. But now, does that mean, my question is, and the question is it in the books or in the literature, has anyone come across any sort of answer around these lines? If I'm seeing stuff like that, am I deluded? I mean, I don't think I am. It doesn't seem like delusion to me, and there's sort of subtle confirmations. I don't think it is delusion. But there would be people who would tell me, "Oh, you're not in a group. That can't be right." But does it mean that I've got something like that going on in me at that level anyway to see it? That's what I'm saying. Like if you don't have let's leave it at that. Does that tie together? I just don't know, and I wonder about that. So that's my question.
I see. UC wrote on the screen. It says, "Well, you're obviously nuts." Yeah, you're deluded, Phil. No. I agree. There doesn't seem to be a connection between higher being bodies and abilities to perceive certain things. I mean, I don't believe I have developed higher bodies yet. I can intuit things. And you said at the beginning of what you were saying there about the sliding scale, and that's something else I would love to discuss today a little bit, is the sliding scale. I think powers of observation has something to do with all this, and more so than levels of consciousness or levels of man 1 through 7. I've had peak experiences, and in those peak experiences, intuiting or seeing things that other people can't see became meaningless. It was more of just a bliss state where everything was okay, and I couldn't maintain it though. And to me, that is awakening, and I don't know of anybody that can maintain it. And David over there at Fourth Way Interactive thinks some people can, and I've yet to see anybody that I can verify can maintain that kind of a high state. But as far as phenomenon, seeing phenomenon or creating phenomenon, I don't see the connection between these higher bodies and that. I think it's just a development of powers of observation. Go ahead, Phil.
No, I was just thinking, now, as it happens, there's a man that I would, given within the broad sort of comment that I don't really know what these visions mean, and I think it all runs on a sliding scale. But I do know a gentleman who's, some part of me does regard him as a teacher, and I certainly learnt a lot from him, and had some one-to-ones, and a lot of extraordinary experiences with him. And I mention him at all because he happens to be meeting and speaking with people in London this weekend. And on the inside, I've sort of had inquiry whether I was coming down and responding no. not, other things intervene, and leave it there, you see. Now, the thing is, as far as I'm concerned, he's up there 6 or 7 or something. He's got this a global consciousness. It's truly remarkable. And yet a few years ago, he fell off his motorbike. Now, I'm pretty damn sure he didn't fall off his motorbike consciously. So now you see, are we going to say that that was a moment when he wasn't where he might be most of the time? So I don't think that it is an absolute constant. And the thing that intrigues me is that the business of self-remembering, that even talking about self-remembering, it only makes sense in the context of being very familiar with self-forgetting. And I find it interesting that you can remember something in the field of sort of forgetfulness, and there's this exquisite detail about what you remember. I think I've shared an experience here where I left a shopping bag, and then halfway home I remember, I left it. And I absolutely could see where I'd left it, the surface I'd put it on, and the consideration of whether it would hold it, and so on and so on. And it was a conscious recollection, and it still is as I recollect it now. And yet I'd clearly forgotten on some other level and left the thing in the shop and had to go back and retrieve it. So I'm inclined to think that that's self-remembering, because I'd forgotten myself and then I remembered myself. And lo and behold, it was a conscious moment, and it told me where I'd left what I'd forgotten. Do you get me? So I don't believe in this idea of constancy, and I think someone who insists they do, well, they're kidding themselves. And I just don't, it doesn't make sense.